1,000 out of the CD, leaving the interest in there, and move that 1,000 into the checking account and roll over the remainder.
I would second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. All not in favor? Pass. Moving on. Okay, so there's gonna be a craft fair, we get to choose, they're at the Crown Plaza, all three of them?
All three of them.
Okay. One Saturday, October 29th. Sunday, the 18th, both of them in October?
Sunday, the 18th is October.
And what's the, August? August 29th. Sunday, October 18th, or November 8th is indoors. We're all just want to pick one.
One thing that we haven't figured out is what to do at this craft fair. So there are a couple options. A would be everybody wanted to bring a couple of pieces and sell their work to promote the club. If we're outdoors, two of those shows, August and October, we could bring the lathe, do some turning, that always gets interest. The indoor show, you could not do that, but that's during Christmas. And then the other idea that fits into the whole circle is, do we do it as a charity? Does anybody have a charity in mind that, maybe 5 or 6 people donate a piece, sell whatever we sell, and donate it? Do we want to do it for profit? We want to do it for profit, or do we want to do it for
community service?
Yes. I mean, if anybody has an idea that, boy,
Or suggest the food bank, because they
well, we did the food bank once, and they love us. They love us. But so those are some we talked about doing a craft fair for exposure for the club. We all agree on that. The question that I'm bringing up is, what are we going to do with this craft fair? Are we going to make money for the club, make money personally, or do we have a donation in mind?
Well, if you do it in November on the inside one, that's closer to Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
People for food bank.
Right. I'm open to all of those. The only dilemma I have right now is August. There's no meeting in July, so it's all going to have to be done by email, and it's going to be a little complicated. October is a crapshoot. If you're going to be outdoors, it could be 42 degrees under that canopy and pouring rain. That is a possibility. So I'm almost wondering, time-wise, maybe we slept on this idea too long, and do we try to plan something for Christmas, November, and find a good charity? I like the charity idea. But that's why we have numbers. So, whatever you guys.
So what would you all suggest? Any suggestions? Would you like the November one?
I think November indoors. It's a holiday show. It's before Thanksgiving.
And we know somebody that likes to make tree ornaments. Mr. Ornaments back there.
Yeah, ornaments, that type of thing. I mean, we could actually get a theme. It might not be a bad idea, and everybody make an ornament or two or something. Christmas tree ornament. I don't know, something. But we could come up with a theme, and everybody make one and donate it, and then food bank, or if anybody else finds a better place that we could land, $200-300 for, whatever.
And they're small and they probably sell a lot quicker.
It could be done as a combination, because it could be done as a demo also, because I've got one of the small
I don't
miniature
think they would do that in the
desktops.
crown. In the crown, that would be a problem.
Where is it going to
Indoors at the
be,
crown.
inside, or is it going to be out
In the
in
ballroom.
tent?
Oh, in the ballroom. Yeah, I
why
would say
why would a desktop be an issue?
the crown's very, very difficult. I'm not ruling it out. I can ask them, hey, we bring a vacuum, whatever.
And I was thinking with a small one, piece of plexi.
Right.
The way we keep anything, and just for doing small, if
You
you're
could
gonna,
put a tarp down.
if it was gonna be
maybe easy to pick
done,
up, too.
Just
What's that?
the crown
You
is,
could put a tarp down
Yeah.
to just
the
collect that
the
up.
crown is very, very particular. I mean, I'll certainly run it
and if,
by them.
and if it was gonna be done like was talked about as far as like Christmas ornaments, well, the demo could be doing
Making one.
some, small Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
They're not gonna produce much in the way of sawdust. It's not gonna be flying like it would off of regular lathe,
Right.
especially if there was a,
Right.
canopy type thing that would contain it, which is easy enough to do on something small.
I mean, I'll certainly bring that up, but that would give us 4 months to really,
I like that.
so. I think I would table that for the next August meeting, and then that gives us August and September to come up with in October, August, September, the 3 months to come up with something.
I like the idea that a couple months ago, somebody came up with where the club gets a challenge, create a goblet.
Yeah.
And we collect all the goblets, and then we bring them to the show, and they would get sold. Money goes to the club or goes to a charity, whatever, but have the club, have everybody produce something.
Right. Well, that's what we're saying. If it was November, that would be a great time for ornaments or Christmas trees or, holiday items. I do a little birdhouse that goes like crazy for those types of shows, so.
And I probably could do an inside out,
So, okay.
figuring that, there's things that go into my mind.
So I would hold that idea for November, and I'll let the girl know that we're thinking November. The entry fees, I think, it might be $90. It's really not a lot of money. Yeah. Then you're indoors, and it's only 10 to 3, 5.5 hours. 3 or 4 people can be.
No, I'll be there.
Okay. All right, let's
Still
move
stuck in
that. Let's move that to November.
So do I have to put that in motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll work on an idea.
All right, new business, do we have new business that we need to talk to, even though we just talked about business?
I have nothing.
Anybody? Okay. Or you want to do show and tell first?
Do show and tell first.
All right, so who wants to go first?
Paul, yeah.
What was the date for the November? I will confirm early, early.
There is one in December.
These are all what I'm playing with.
If we're gonna go into the
There's a club that belongs to Massachusetts. We want to get involved with urns for the parents whose children died of cancer. And so it's a donation sort of thing. And I was going to make a typical urn with glass finium, look like a flame. But then I said, wait, why don't I just make a light? So this is the first one, and I'm kind of working with it. And I said, okay, this is kind of nice, but I didn't like it. And so I said, let me go a little bit farther. And that's when I came up with this one here. I like this one because these are Christmas ornaments you hang in the tree. And I usually glue this in. But because it's not going to hang in the tree, I don't have to. And then this one, because it's got a bigger flame on it. So it's nice in here, and it's easy to put in, so in case this does stop working, whoever owns this can just get another one and replace it. So it makes it easy that way. And then this is going to be threaded. So you put the ash in from the top. And this is just a piece of plastic plumbing. I tried that first, and I wanted to see how this whole thing will work. And if it works the way I want it, then I'll go with the brass. Either brass or maybe even turn some wood into brass. I'm not sure about that yet. But this will hold a 30-pound person's ash, is what this will hold. And it's hollowed out all the way through. This is easy to hollow this way than that way. So let's hollow it this way, and then I'll just make a plug and I'll put the plug and glue this in place. And then I will epoxy the inside just to make it nice and solid, and that'll hold this in. This will never come out. The thing will never break.
Is that an urn?
Yeah, that's
Making an urn?
That's what this is for.
Okay.
And it will hold a 30-pound person's ash. And that's the capacity in this urn. That one is, it's not, that's just a whole filter. That was a play. This one was a better idea. And now the next one's going to be really nice because it'll be a finished piece.
I made some urns, boxes.
Yeah.
And brought them to a funeral home show. And they said, that's great, except every urn has to have the name of the person on it. At least in Rhode Island.
Well,
Yeah, but if they're just getting the ashes, right out there.
And you're gonna put that urn in the ground, that has
No,
to
they're
have
not-
somebody's
they're
name
not-
on it.
they're not gonna put that.
no, that's going to be on a mantle.
Oh, on the mantle, okay.
That's going to be shown.
But if it goes in the ground, it's gotta have the person's name on it.
Well, I made some and they just bury them in the ground,
Okay.
in the field, and who gives a shit?
It depends on whether you're going to a cemetery.
Oh, okay, no, this was
Yeah.
why that tree, the family tree.
Yes, yeah.
And it was just little keepsake urns.
Yeah.
That were oiled and had wooden threads, not brass, because it's going to become brass pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I made sure that when I made them, it would become brick, and there wouldn't be any leftover parts.
And it depends on the state and the cemetery, because when I made the urn for my dad, we wanted to bury it in the plot that he had next to his parents. They said, oh, okay, is it marble or, granite? And I went, no, it's wood. Okay, then it needs to be fit in this size. We have a stone crypt that you can buy, and you put it in there and they bury that.
It sounds like Catholics.
And so, I had very specific dimensions that I had to work with to put it in that. But then, it was, they didn't care. I mean, it was like, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was like $100, but.
And then a lot of times they'll give you
Ashes.
people who made the act, will give you a wooden box.
Yeah.
And it's just a cheap box, could be a cotton shoe box, it's just a really cheap box. Couple threads, screws to hold the lid down. It's a temporary holding place, so they can put it in wherever they want to put it in. And so once they have it home, they can do what they want with it.
The
So,
boxes I made, we, out of the wood from around our house.
Yeah.
And after we got information from the cemetery about putting it in after, one or both of us passed away, they said, okay, a cubic inch space per pound of the person is what we need. So I get it all set up, got it all done, brought it, I laser engraved my wife's name on top of it. It had a name on it, and then I told her she couldn't lose any weight or gain any weight, because otherwise the box would roll around.
and,
Before they take the metal bead, they tip out.
Yeah,
Take that
yes,
out.
yeah.
1 cup of rice equals 14.5 pounds.
Right.
That's how I know how to
Oh,
do
okay.
Doesn't feel like that is.
It's cool.
Ken, jump up there.
All right, I've been taking care of my scrap wood pile. I made this segmented, I call it a memory box. Give it to a grandmother, say, stick your grandkids' college fund in that, put the name on the bottom.
That's cute.
So this is from a neighbor's beach bench. And I don't know where these scraps came from. And I had some triangles that I didn't know where it came from. So I made a half lap cross on the top, glued the triangles in, and then turned it. And this is laser etching the flowers I got off the internet, modified them to my liking. And then I have a rotating base that rotates and puts it on. Finished with 2 coats of the good stuff before burning and 1 coat after. That's
It's been a while, so I piece of scrap oak laying around. I said, okay, let's see what I can do. And it's, my son would have whiskey, so I thought maybe I'd make like little whiskey glasses. So this was one of the ones. It's got crystal coat on it, and the inside I tried to burn because I read where if you burn the inside, it will seal, and therefore the whiskey will not necessarily soak much in, as long as you don't leave it laying around. But who leaves whiskey? So just something I had been thought about cutting it off, using the bottom, and then making another whiskey glass out of the bottom of this. Just something to do. I'm not sure if this is white oak or not, but they all recommended to use white oak for this. So we'll see.
Oh, that'll hold a good amount of whiskey.
Yeah. But the problem I ran into, I have a propane torch, and I was going in. As soon as I got it in far enough, it ran out of oxygen and would go out. So it's not burned all the way to the bottom.
All right, this is from my good old hickory tree. I have, and it's vaulted. And I had to put in, I was having some cutout, so I had to use some resin to fit in. I had a hard time with that. I was just like fighting, but as I was telling Rick, my lathe has been bouncing around a little bit. So that's why I'm having some trouble with the flatness of it. Like it's nice and flat here, and it's not over here. But I like it.
Came out very nice.
And one of my friends, that was their birthday.
That was
present
worth the trip to Ireland, definitely.
today. Getting there.
Getting you.
Yeah, I would have liked to have this thing a little thicker though, a little wider, but it kept on breaking away. I think I need to put this in water and soak it up a little bit because this dries really, really fast. No?
I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Try it. See.
Try once, then you'll know to tell us.
I will.
Nice.
Jane, is it the spalting that tears out?
Spalting?
No, you get to tear out into spalting.
Actually not. Spalt is like right here. It's on the
Probably on the end grain.
end grain. And this black stuff, you really need to constantly sharpen your tools up because this will dull it out. And that's probably why that happened.
Yeah, you gotta be sharp. You gotta be sharp.
Yeah.
Okay. Pete?
It looks like your basic mortar and pestle, but it gets a little complicated because I made my son a salt box out of this burl with the green epoxy in it, and he asked me to make a mortar and pestle to match the salt box. They sit next to each other, but I determined that the burl with the epoxy was not a good surface to be grinding against because you really don't want the micropowder and the epoxy in your food. So I was reading that hard maple was the best material for the crushing part. So I ended up having to make a bowl within a bowl here. So I turned the bowl outside, and then I used a piece of quarter inch plywood to make sort of a perfect template of the shape of the inside. And then I took a piece of maple and I matched the shape on the maple, and then I glued the two of them together. So it was a nice tight fit. So I just glued a bowl within a bowl. But I didn't want to look at the two different types of wood on the top here, so I wrote some epoxy on the top to kind of cover it up. And then, of course, there's always some faults with the burls that filled out with epoxy too. So I ended up with maple on maple, but still matching the one that my son had. So it got a little complicated, but he can't.
Did he like it?
He hasn't seen it.
No,
He
yeah.
left the San Diego. I gotta show that.
That's a nice combination of the two woods.
Yeah. That's great. That's quite the
Inside
idea.
and outside for the contrast between the two of them. That's nice.
Yeah, and the functionality. Too. So you really want hard maple to be percussion stuff. Yeah. And I wanted end grain hard maple in the pestle, so I get a window piece. So.
Let's see it cook.
Quite the idea.
No, my other son's cooking. He doesn't want it. So he sees that, then he'll probably want it too.
Quite the idea.
Oh, good, I was looking for a front row seat.
Yeah, you missed the show and tell.
I know. So, small walnut bowl. I was telling everyone, the other club up in Lucia, one of the members, does a lot of overhead. We didn't want the little pieces, so we had a couple hundred pieces to give away. So I was surprised how many people took them, but I grabbed some just to practice. So pretty piece of walnut.
Glenn Lucas does that.
Yeah.
He has containers of things.
The money's in the bigger pieces. And then this. So last weekend, I was with Senior and we did a craft day. And those things really work out because we handed out probably 30 different brochures, people who wanted to come to the meeting and learn and just watch. So when you do these sort of things, you try to do stuff that doesn't take very long to do. So something like this, a little wine glass, probably took 15 minutes max or something like that. And the challenge is, of course, to get without it snapping. And then a finial. So the finial again, trying to get it as thin as possible. It may not be the best shape, but it was just the practice of getting it really thin. And then finally a little spinning top. And that group does spinning top competition at Christmas. So the Christmas party, spinning top competition. So whose top runs the longest? So you got to be wood, no metal, no nothing like that. Has to be hand turned, no ropes or anything. So if you look at the wood, this is a very pretty wood. This is plum. So I have a plum tree that I had cut down and dropped a bunch of leaves. So cracks like mad, so I just filled it up with little pieces. And again, these things probably take no more than 15 hours. So at the demo,
Right.
perfect.
What makes it run long about the long is the weight, the shape, the balance.
The balance, and actually the more weight at the bottom, the better. And you don't really need this little piece up here. So they're fun little things to turn.
Call it a quick tool demo. I use this grinder is from here, and I had all of my chisels at home that I've had. Some of them, well, this chisel set I've had for about 30 years. Dull because I don't have anything to sharpen them with. You know, I'd have been lucky if it would cut warm butter. But oops, I got my hand on it.
needed that.
I got my hand on it. So did a nice job of sharpening them up.
What's the grade on the surface?
On the stone, on the wheels,
That wheel has
600, and I think the other one, the opposite side is 300.
Yeah, or 180 and 600, something like
That side's 600, and this is 350.
You make one sleep too, which is nice.
Took me a little bit to figure out how
Those
this
don't
thing was
come with the
supposed to set
CBM
up.
wheel.
but-
I added the CBM to that. It comes with a glass sandpaper, glass with sandpaper.
So mine has plastic too with a bunch of holes in it.
Right.
So you can watch it from the top, you can see the tool.
Correct.
under the-
But
Yeah,
that's
it's
an
got a
add-on.
little guide over here on the side that you can put it in, and then you move this over and it locks it in so that your chisel will stay in straight. And then you just slide it up and you just slide it up
Ooh.
while it's spinning and just go back and forth, contacting it. Put it on the 350 and then switch it over to the 600.
And you can set whatever angle you like for you.
What's that?
You can
change the angle, yeah.
4 or 5 angles, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice tool.
double on that or just the regular?
So Rich, we normally do like flyers that when we do
we-
a show.
We haven't in the past. The other group has, and I think I have some in there, I can dig one out. It's a postcard that has both clubs on it and dates and information. I'll dig one out, pass it around. I have one in there.
Just no AI.
No way.
My daughter was so pissed at me.
Yeah.
We did
Well,
an
he-
AI because all these signs for the 250,
Oh, yeah.
there's an AI and they all look the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awful.
I'll dig one out. I'll show it to you.
Because that's new.
Well, that's the brand for my farm.
The Roland J range. Actually, it was Cottonwood range. The brand was Roland.
So now we're gonna take a break
Okay.
and then Roland's gonna do his thing.
Speaking of Cottonwood ranch, does anybody have access to Cottonwood? No, it's very soft. Lots of good wood. It has a very nice.
No, I don't.
I'll try to find cottonwood to make plaques
Before that, I like farm.
because I got the
You
original
know,
brand.
all they have, all they have,
So
so
I'm
they're getting
getting
over
brand.
There was a huge ass trade around here. And they had a young, really good woodworker back in the residency at this their maker space. And so I was just describing your living because they were also like chunks, getting chunks of this, I think it was elm to work on. You know, it was a similar sort of thing.
I just finally, at this over weekend, got a whole bunch of my big pieces and painted. To start protecting them and preserving them somewhat. Keep from checking further than what they've already done.
Well, I'm sure I
Right,
can
so they got it, but it's-
They're not bad.
Yeah, if something is cut right immediately, that's stopping from, checking.
Yeah, once it's dried and once it's been dried, so it's not drying. It's what it I'm sure it probably will.
Oh.
I have no idea.
You know,
I don't know if people ever do logs.
this VIA Roland review, talking about filling an old bowl with water,
Yeah.
putting it in the microwave. And it seems to be, the thing is, when you put it in cold, I mean, I'm just trying to work that out in my mind. It seems to me that when you're putting it in cold, you are actually saturating it, because then you're drying it and cooling up.
No, I think what's happening is you're keeping the outside from drying and shrinking. So think of it, I got a bowl. It's.
I wasn't here last week.
Put the water in the middle, this is going out. So you soak the whole thing.
You want to
Take it out, really, the outside, fill it up, and the water, the water.
It's in wet on
It's wet, soak the outside wet. Yes, it's gonna, like you said, come
See,
outside,
now,
it's gonna dry out.
And then it changes.
But it's gonna be useful, and because you do it, and then you get it wet again. I don't know if you're almost getting it. You're doing it before it gets a chance to shrink enough.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Because this hasn't gotten dry enough, far enough to cause it to shrink. And you're forcing, as the way Roland explained it, is what it's doing is because it's heating up the wood inside of the wall here. That wood, the moisture is trapped inside, is gonna want to release. So you're shrinking, so now when it's because it's gonna get forced to, so you got this wet in here in the middle, but it's dry out here, moisture's going to go towards the outside. So you're drying out the middle at the same time as you're drying out the outside.
Right, yeah,
If you just let it sit,
that,
if you just let it sit, you're drying out the outside, and it's starting to swallow the inside, still got moisture that it hasn't gotten rid of yet.
right.
So you're, by heating it up, that's where you're getting it out of the moisture, out of the inside. So
Uniformly.
uniform, one is more uniform. So it's, you're getting shrinkage, but you're getting.
Is that grinders
Yeah.
belongs here?
Wow.
The way I
Yeah.
understand it.
Oh, that's yours?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I got some,
You need it, right?
yeah, I got some tools that could be sharp.
The inside.
Yeah, bring it back when you're done. Yeah, they got ripples.
This, but the inside's also, so they're.
It'll take care of that.
You know, the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about a chisel. I'm like, take this.
It's all straight. But
All this stuff was in my garage, which I have no room for. So it's in my storage.
this is gonna shrink
Here,
less than, well, this is gonna shrink.
All the bigger things, like, there's no room to put them here. If I need them, I come here, because I only live a block away. It's easy. I don't have to drive from
Very hard for me.
Oh, really?
Yes, he said, I just want to.
I'm gonna knock you over one of these. Ready? All right.
This was a new change.
Oh, no, it wasn't in his first lecture.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna show you how to make tonight. Ready, Jane? In fact, I made this today just to make sure when I came here tonight, I would do it right.
You hadn't forgotten how.
Yeah, because I've been busy doing lighthouses. And that's a whole nother world. But here's a block of wood. And basically that comes out like so. If you look at it, you'll see the numbers. The outside is 1 3/4, that inside is 1 1/4. And then this one here would be 1 1/2. This line here is 1/2 inch from the top down. This line is right on center. See that? Bingo. Look right there. Oh, okay. Look right there. All right. Right. And you see there are 2 holes there? Right, so it's both sides. And those 2 holes, this one on the outside is a mistake. And I'm glad I thought it. Because this other, I'll show you something else, and it just needed to be offset like that. Whereas this has to be on center, and that's why that second hole is right on center. And that's what this center line's for. And if you have, these are 2x2, and if you don't get exactly a 2x2, what you can do is you can just mount it, tighten it up, and then bring your center and drive your point in. And now you're going to be perfect left and right of center. And now you can work everything off that point that you got from your live center. That just makes it easier. And I figured that out. And
So on the end,
I'm going to pass this, and you can ask me when you have it in your hand, and I'll answer you as best I can. You can ask me now if you want.
Intimidating.
so the center hole here
Yes.
is centered left and right, but why is it off center up and down?
It's off because this is not here.
Okay.
So see, you want that determines where the handle's going to come to the scoop, and so that makes a big difference.
Okay.
That's why you want it a 1/2 inch below. Now this thing is done the same way. Yeah, you got it. It's done the same way, except now that hole is going to be different because you don't have the same amount of drop below, so the handle can't drop down. So you got to be really careful that this comes out right. But it's still, what I'm going to do here is basically the same thing. It's just a bigger set of jaws that I use to do this. Plus, that's a big propeller running around in a circle.
So. And then this is a nice little scoop. This one's nice and easy to make. And basically, this is what it would be. So if this is just one piece of wood. Put that in the chuck. Use the Forstner bit to drill this out, and then turn this down so I have a uniform thickness. Then I can pass this through the bandsaw, split it in half, which would be like so. And then what I'll do is take this and glue it to a faceplate with just hot glue, because it doesn't take much, because now I'm going to figure out where my handle's going to be. So that's going to be driven tight against that. And this is square, so it's going to go, it'll line itself up almost perfect. And then you can turn the handle and it'll come out like this. And then once the handles, this is done, you know, you pop it off and then you just round this. I'll put a sandpaper there and just round it off and give you that look. So it's all done pretty much the same. And then again, this is just the bigger version, because I had a bigger Forstner bit. So the biggest the Forstner means this is how big you can go. But it just makes, this one's really easy to make. The flat spoon is the hardest to make. That one's really hard. I also have that smaller spoon. And again, these are just more difficult because you got a blind, it's hard to find the depth there, and you don't have that circle. See, this is a full circle. So when it's spinning, you'll see it spinning, it just forms it. The inside outside becomes perfect, versus this here, you don't know what's going on. But I actually figure out how to make it. So now I know how to make these a little easier. And that's that. So we got some. Okay, let's see if this works. Basically, I take two jaws off, and then up your thumb. I think I do have the magazine. The last time I did this demo, I had a spline that I put on the bottom side, and then I clamped it, and which means that's a whole step you don't need, because you can just clamp this like so without having this spline. But at any rate, so I'll pass this around too. This is AEW magazine, so this is another reason why you want to join AEW, because you get awesome information, and that's where I picked that up. And you'll see a better description of how you're supposed to do that. But the wording is such that you can really have to keep figuring out what they're trying to tell me, because it's not that easy. So basically, I'll just let this sit in here pretty close. Now I can. This way, that way.
Goes either way.
Oh, got it. And then I just put that in my center hole that I already marked in, hopefully. Just drop a little bit. Now that's not tight, it's just kind of snug, just so now when I close the jaws, it'll kind of like center itself. And if you crank it good and tight, it will stay put when you start it up. Otherwise, it will take a fly.
Well, you have different tool rests if you need a smaller one. You do have them.
Yeah, but I don't even need this right yet.
I'm saying, when you do.
Okay, yeah.
If you do, we have.
We have that one, okay. So I just did this, just so that I know that's gonna be pretty close to on center, right where I want it. And then if you notice, that piece that's going around, these are all another ½ inch down. So my biggest circle is a ½ inch from the top. And that, you'll see why that is shortly.
Back to that later.
Rick is the one who told me about these. These are those little carbide porcelain bits. I forgot the name of them.
Carbide porcelain.
Okay. I think they came from Amazon, but they're so much nicer than the sawtooth because, well, they don't dull, they don't smoke up into.
I will tell you, ironically, Harbor Freight has a set of those, 6 of them, from 1/4 to 1.25 inches for, I don't think it was well under $50. It might even have been $49 for the whole set.
I've got
And they're as sharp as that one.
That's part of that set. I have that set.
Oh,
that
you
you
got
put-
the set,
Yeah,
okay.
and this is the ones that I need to do this.
But yeah, it was, I might even have been $39. It was unbelievably cheap. What a good set.
So I have my depth already marked here, little Sharpie. And always spin before you turn. 'Cause even today, like even though I know better that you're supposed to turn before you spin, today I turned it on before I spun it by hand, and the belt went because it whacked on this and it got what? It got caught.
Oh.
So like if this is over here and you
Oh,
turn
right,
it on,
yes.
the
Oh,
first thing it does is does this, and if you got a belt drive, the belt is going to squeal because this isn't going to jump out. The only thing that can spin then is just the belt, and it's going to make noise. So always turn first by hand, and then that way you can get that out of the way. Okay, let's see about this. Now I can increase my speed a little bit, not too much.
Are you drilling the exact size or you're
No.
gonna be doing some turning in there?
I'm going to turn, this is just a little bit smaller. So my hole, this is a 1-inch hole. The wall is supposed to be 1.25 inches. So that leaves me a little bit extra. So when I start turning it, I've got some wood here to play with. And on big bowls, I will tell everybody, use a bowl gouge. Everybody wants to use a porcelain bit to do big stuff. And I say, I already know how to do this. I don't know how to turn. And so if you, instead of using a porcelain bit to get rid of a bunch of wood, just use your bowl gouge. Use the bowl gouge, and then you can learn how to turn. And by the time you get to the bottom of the bowl, you'll know what you're doing. Because when you're at the top, you can see what's going on. When you get to the bottom, you almost can't see anymore. Now I have another drill bit. And this is just to get rid of that little point. This little point. And so that'll get rid of that little point, so it'll make it easier for me when I go down there to clean it up. Because I know exactly where I'm going. I got another little mark there. There's a thing called line of fire. And if you see me going like this, that's because I don't want to put my head over here. Because if this does come out for whatever reason, it would smack me. And that's why I'm like really careful when I'm looking over there.
I'd like to thank you for taking that chair.
Be a sacrificial lamb.
So now I got close to my depth. And now we can just leave this for now. So.
It'll go every which way you want it to go. Yep.
All right, great.
This will turn also.
Oh, I can see what I'm doing down there. So what I'm going to use is this little hollowing tool, Raleigh Monroe, a 1/2 inch. It's a carbide cutter. It's not a scraper. But I like this tool a lot, and that's why I'm going to use it. But I also brought, another one like this here. Same thing. It's got a carbide cutter on it. So this can be used. I've got this that can be used a little bit.
You were covering the tip, so I couldn't see what.
Okay, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
And then this is just a scraper. That's a flat one. It's not that a cutter, but this can be used. And everybody has these, I think, that can still be used. And this is more of a scraper. So when I'm done with that, I can go into that hole and clean it up a little bit. I think, I don't know. I haven't tried this in there yet. But when I was grabbing my tools, because I was going through, I don't even know why, because there's a drawer that I don't open, and that's where that stuff is. And when I opened the drawer, I found this. Wow, that's a pretty scraper. And so I might be able to go right in there and clean it. But we'll find that out later. But this is the tool I like. This one here is made to turn just above center, and then I drop it over on an angle. There's a cover that comes on top of this, and it sets the depth of cut. I don't like it, so I don't have it. And I can do this fine. Some people they get hooked up and it does nasties if you don't have that cover on it. But it's a safety cover basically, just so you know. You set it for the amount of wood you want to take off, and it won't go deeper than you want. But again, I really like it without that cover, because that cover winds up getting jammed up with wood chips all the time, at least for me. Let's see what we can do here. We can do one thing. Put this here on.
The white one.
Okay.
Silver one.
Yeah. And this likes to be turned slow. It's not a high speed. It doesn't want that to go really fast. It goes slow. That's the best cut, is when it's going slow. And I put it at an angle. Fine.
Is that because it's that tool? I mean, most of the times,
It's
with those
this tool.
carbide cutters, you want them like,
Yeah, no, this tool, Raleigh says a little above center and keep your speed down low.
oh, okay.
Is what they say for this one. And then you find your comfortable speed, you know, sometimes you go up a little bit more. So if you're having a hard time, it's spinning too fast, I can just slow it way down and then I get a nice cut that way. And then this is also articulating. So this part spins and this bigger part spins. So I can turn it either way. So I can like get, when I'm doing a hollow, I can get way underneath with that. And you can also, you know, if you got just a small lathe, you can still do this. You just make a short handle. You know, so your mini lathe, you can do this on your mini lathe. And if it's a small handle like this, the auto balance isn't going to walk away. But that makes it easy just on the mini. So the numbers are all the same. You can just shorten up the handle. And what I have here, this actually will fit in like so, and that lets me know how deep it's supposed to be, and it also gives me that inside radius with this little doodad. I got a little line striped across, and you can't go with a full circle because it's smaller on the top than it is in the middle. So you have to go with something like this, and then it slides in, and then you can actually see how it's fitting, and that's how I get pretty much on the money each time. And so I already know that doesn't even fit in there yet, so. And when I start cutting, I actually know what that radius is supposed to be. So I start from here and I actually start going in, and then I go back the other way. And that way I get a nice circle.
not exactly the cheapest tool in town.
I've got this one, I've got the 3/4 too.
Okay.
How much does it run?
Almost 500.
Oh. Yeah, they must have went up. I would have never spent,
425.
yeah, and then ship in
The
back
three, yeah. So
by the time you're done.
$500.
But look what I can do with it.
Right, well, I just wanted to, I will put a link on the website for those of you.
You'll have more money than sense.
But again, I showed you different tools that
So
you
the
can
coffee
use.
scoops are gonna be $80 a clip.
You know, so this will work. And I'll show you this will work.
Now, that's just a regular carbide cutter.
Yeah, that's cut, but this is not a scraper, that's the
Or
cutter.
cutter,
Same
correct,
cutter as that, basically.
correct.
Is that the hunter tip?
I have no idea. Whoever asked me that question. Okay, yeah, no, it came like this.
It looks like the hunter.
And it came like this, and I even forget that I have it because I found it in that drawer.
I know with the hunter, they want it above center and at 45 degrees for the cut.
Okay, which is the same as this. This little thing actually cuts faster than that bigger one. I can feel it just, wow. But I'm used to this, not that. And you should not have a tool hiding someplace in your workshop. You should know where your tools are and know what they're for. And I can still
All
see
you
that.
have to do is sneak over to your workshop, find that drawer, and you'll never know what you
I have a lot of stuff that I would never know because I can't find so much. It's almost sad. And that's sitting pretty close to what I want. So normally then I would sand that hole out, but we're not sanding. So
Right on top.
and this is not a dovetail drawer. This is the one with a bunch of teeth on it. Dovetail, you'll only have one hole in it. The one with all the teeth, you get a nice bite and then it will jump out.
Is that a one-way?
This here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Talon. The Talon with 2 drawers off.
Huh.
Yeah, I kind of, well, I like them both, the Talon and the Stronghold, because I have both of them and I use both of them. Now, I've got this little thing as a drive. Make it nice. Could have went a little deeper, because I got a little nub down there. But because this is a demo, we don't care, right? We just doing the basics. Oh, that's too bad. I forgot a step. What I would have done, I'm going to do it now. On that. I would have taken my potting tool and then I would have put it along here and then along here. Just this one on the outside would just go a little bit, and then this one here can go fairly deep because it doesn't matter because you're cutting all that out. But this gives you, if you use this potting tool before you take it out, and you're just giving yourself 2 marks, because when this is spinning, you'll see those 2 marks. But I don't know what's going to happen now.
Gonna find out.
So you would have had your diameter kind of preset.
Right. And then as I'm turning here, I would have that potting tool mark that as soon as I get rid of the potting tool mark, I'm at the perfect outside dimension. So now I'm just going to have to see if I can do it. Now we can turn it up to a higher speed. No, we can't turn it that fast. I'll get rid of some of that wood. Because right now it wants to bounce around. And so what I'm doing is, because I just got those 4 points, I hit the bevel first and then lift my tool up in to start cutting versus trying to start cutting right away. Because if you try to start cutting right away, you're going to jam the tool, split the wood, or do something that you don't want to do. So it's just so much easier if you just, so nothing's happening, and then I just lift it up, and then I get a cutting edge, and then I get the tool. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm still holding my tool against my body, and I'm using my body to guide the tool. And I'm not doing this, because you got no control like this. But as long as I got it touched against my body, find that cutting edge, and then I can just move my body. And believe it or not, pretty much everybody that does a demo will to you, and they're telling you that because it really works. You know, it's not just because it takes up time and you sound like you know what they're talking about. I was teaching somebody how to turn in my shop the other day, and I was trying to explain to him how the foot position is so important. You know, have a nice platform so when you're swinging, it works out nice. And then, because I'm watching him do it up here, and I finally saw his feet, and he's doing this. And so you can't swing your body like that, but your feet have to be parallel with the lathe to be able to move that way. And no one ever told me that. That was just something I figured out. And by watching him do it the wrong way, I said, wow, that's the wrong way. But he didn't know how to turn. It was pretty much his first turn. Just trying to, actually, that first lighthouse, the smaller one, was a piece of wood I had him working with, because it was a big hunk of wood. I just was trying to show him how to take the wood off. And that was sitting in the lathe. And then I looked at it, I said, wait a minute, if I just take a little bit here and there, I got the base of a lighthouse. That's how that happened. I have a pencil mark there, and when this is spinning, I can see that pencil mark, and that's the center of my bowl. So as long as I stay there and take wood off the left and right side of that, I've got a nice round bowl. And these would make really nice Christmas presents because you can make a little scoop to hang in the tree. And who likes little scoops? People who cook at home. And I don't know, I can't say one or the other. Could be a guy, could be a girl. But whoever's cooking, they'd be attracted to that little Christmas ornament. And then you can do the handle green and do whatever you want with it. But that's just an idea. And you'd be the only one with them because I don't think anybody makes them. I put that mock with the potting tool, I would have something now that I'd be turning to.
makes it easier. A little smaller, lets me get in closer spaces. That's a little shear cut that I was doing, and that's just to smooth this out a little bit.
it makes a big difference if you use that potting tool, because you have that nice line to go to. Now it's a huge difference. What I just did was, instead of approaching it with the bevel, I approached it with the tip, and as soon as you jam the tip in, it goes somewhere, goes anywhere it wants, but it doesn't do what you're trying to do, that's for sure. Before I screw up this time, what I can do in my head right now is saying, you guys did not remind me to use that new scraper that I had. You know,
Yeah.
and that's all that's going in my head. I said, you better say something, you're gonna screw it up big time. Because I'm paying attention to that scraper.
You can't write enough words, I expect us to.
There's more of you out there than here. We won't stop trying it because that's the deal. I'm about ready to screw it all up. And I'm just doing a little bit of a shift, right? And if we had a dust collecting system here,
Two.
I would.
In the hallway.
These are really nice. I would run this across here and then clean that all up. This would get all nice and sand it out. I would sand this out. I would reduce this so it'd be nice and thin. You don't want a wide rim up here. You want it to be thin so when you go after the coffee, it makes it easy to slice into the coffee. So that would, again, if I had that potting pool marker here, it would be pretty cool. But this is basically, I'm going to show you one more thing. Yeah. Got a little black mark. And that's just a piece of formica, which is nice. So you can use a wire. Sometimes I use the wire. I think the wire will burn deeper. This is more of a surface burn, but the wire will burn deeper. But sometimes that wire breaks. It's caught. Could do tricks, whereas this is safer. Nice. And what I would do is I would just get rid of these two ends. But because this is still a really nice scoop, if I got rid of these two ends, I wouldn't be able to clean it up when I go home. So I can still make this nice when I get home. So you already know how I would do this, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just keep getting it till it's nice and small. And then I got this little flexible saw. And then I would just come in here and cut that off like that, cut that off. And then I would just sand those two nubs off and round it off by hand. And that's how you make a scoop without having to build jigs and all that good stuff. And if you wanted to, I can show you this one. And this one's oblong. So it's actually longer than it is wide. That's what oblong means, right? But what I did was I built out this part of the, basically this, and then I moved it a quarter of an inch maybe. I'm not really sure how far I moved it, but I moved it a little bit. And there's actually, if you can actually feel that little shoulder there inside, and that's from the second time because the second part I didn't drill out. I just used the tool and cleaned it out. And that's how I ended up with this. And then I sanded this down just to make it look pretty neat. But so it's just a matter of moving it in the truck a little bit, and that works nice. And short story is I was doing a demo like this in Connecticut, and I had that mounted on. I don't know if you guys were looking. I need to steer it that way. In that magazine, it shows that you can actually glue it against a piece of MDF. If you glue it against a piece of particle board and you mount it on a lathe that's on high speed and it's a really junky lathe and it's all off balance and you start it up, the particle board blows apart, everything blows in every different. I got whacked out right here, and that's how this was still from open heart surgery.
And so when you get whacked in here, it's like, oh God, that wasn't good. But since then, they bought the new lathe. So, yeah, variable speed now, so before you stir it, you just make sure it's on slow, and then you can bring it up to that speed. But as soon as I turned it on, somebody left it on high. I'm so used to my lathe, because my lathe's always on low speed when I shut it off. But I turned it on,
So working with just the chuck was certainly a lot easier there.
yeah, I think hot gluing it and the whole thing, the chuck is so much nicer and then making that jig to do it with a jig. So it's just nice. And that was shown to me by a guy named Dave. Dave is in the club in Massachusetts, right? It's either Dave or Mike.
Mike Smith.
That's it. Mike. You know, it was one of the names.
He was close.
He's the one who came up with that, just putting it in the truck. And it's just a lot easier than putting that little spline underneath to grab hold of everything about it. And so you can do this, you can make longer ones, you can see, and then if you want, you can go and make flat spoons, stirring spoons. It's just limitless once you start doing it. And that's how I do this. Any other questions? So somebody's gonna make one, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're all gonna make
That's the whole idea of me doing it.
Finding a
Are you
2x2
challenging the
piece.
club?
That's what,
Are you
2x2.
challenging the club to make one?
well, I'm not the challenging person. I think the president does that. It's called,
I'm allowing you to make a
it's
challenge.
called the President's Challenge. That's what it's called. The President's Challenge. That's what it's called.
I actually have a 2x2 that, you know what, I might try that.
Okay? All right. That's it.
Nice job. Just a mention on that rolling rack that I put the chairs on there, all those books are free of charge, and they're some wood turning, some woodworking, some old school books, but if you're into books and not videos, we're working on a library, whereas if you bring in books and take books, exchange. Just don't want the same ones back, so to speak. We're trying to reduce the library, not expand it. But, so there. Nice job, Roland.
Thanks.
That's all.
Thank you, Chris, for coming in today. It's gonna be a lot of, some gets a Nazi now.